Hello and welcome again to another CBVA web chat. I'm Steve Hayward, and today I'm joined again by Amaya Luzuriaga of Prime Legal Lawyers in Spain. We have a few topics that we're going to cover today that have been the subject of many questions from those planning to live in Spain in the coming months. So first I'd like to welcome Amaya. How are you?
Hi Steve, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, good. Okay, so maybe you can just remind our viewers who you are and what your company does.
Yeah, sure. My name is Amaya Luzuriaga, and the law firm is Prime Legal, and we do everything related to buying and selling a property in Spain. All the issues related to that, for example, to getting your NI or paying taxes, and as well these days with immigration and residency as well, because there are many people interested in come to live to Spain. So we do that again.
Okay, you just mentioned residency and immigration. Of course, these are the real hot topics at the moment, particularly for British people in the post-Brexit world. And so there's a couple of options that people are talking about. Maybe you can just run through them. I think the first one we want to talk about is the residency by investment, the so-called golden visa.
That's it. Yeah, well, the so-called golden visa, it is a permit that gives you the right to stay in Spain and also to work in Spain when you invest over 500,000 euros in real estate, or more, a bigger amount, about 1 million, 2 million, when you are buying shares of company or the kind of investments. The more interesting for people is the investment in real estate, because you can buy just one property or few properties, commercial, garages, residential, whatever, but the investment has to be at least 500,000 euros. With that, you can apply for this residency permit. The good thing for the golden visa is that you can apply once you are already in Spain. You don't have to go back to your home country, and once it is granted, it is a shorter term to be accepted, and it will give you the right to stay for 2 years, not for one. If you apply from your home country, it will be 1 year, but if you apply from Spain, it will be for 2 years.
Okay.
Another question, very important, is that it does not require you to live in Spain. Other types of residency, for example, the non-lucrative residency, which is very similar, but the requirement of investing, it requires to live in Spain for at least 182 days in a year. In this case, with the golden visa, you can just come and visit Spain once in a year. While you are keeping your investment in Spain, you will be allowed to renew your residency. You don't have to come more than once.
Okay, and so this the golden visa, this allows you as well you can travel throughout the Schengen zone, yeah, with this?
Yes, that's it. It allows you to travel all around.
And what about if you want to work in Spain? I mean, suppose, for example, you've invested money and you've bought multiple properties. Maybe you've bought 4 or 5 apartments and you're going to live in one, and then you're going to have a small rental business with the others. You can do that? You can work legally in Spain? Yeah,
sure. It is the only one. If we take aside the normal residency for working in Spain, which is a longer process, and you need to show you have a contract, your employer has to show proof of that is hiring your services and these kind of things. With the golden visa, you will be allowed to stay and to work. So it is fine. You make your investment, and for example, you can buy 4 apartments and you live in one and you're renting the other ones. That's fine. It's perfect. You have invested the required amount, and that's it.
Okay. And then you just touched earlier, you mentioned the non-lucrative visa. Now, of course, most people probably hadn't heard of this until the last sort of two months or so, because it's an option now that is open to people from the UK in the post-Brexit world. So how does that work? The non-lucrative visa, how does that actually work, and what are the requirements, what it's about?
The requirements for golden visa and non-lucrative are the same. You will to show your criminal records. You will need to have sufficient means to support yourself, and about an amount of 27,000 euros per year. And if you're coming with a relative, it will be a plus for any additional people that you have to be supported. The main difference is that it does not allow you to work in Spain. You don't need to do any kind of investment. As well, you need to stay in Spain for a longer period, like 182 days per year. So with the golden visa, you don't need to stay. You can go and come, you can travel as much as you want.
Okay. And what is the actual process to apply for a non-lucrative visa? You do this in your home country, so you do this in the UK through the consulate?
You need to do it through your country, yes. You need to. We can assist you filling all the forms in Spain, translating all the documents for to apply for in the consulate. But this is a process that has to be applied in the consulate in your home country. You can't do it from Spain.
Yeah, so this is sort of fairly similar where people from the UK, you know, they're going to want to go and work in Australia, New Zealand or Canada or somewhere like that. They have to go to the relative embassy in London or wherever it might be beforehand and go through this application procedure. And then once that's complete, then their visa is granted and then they can come to Spain.
Yeah, then they come to Spain and then they apply here for the TIE, which is the identity card for foreigners, which actually has a picture of you, biometrical card that it will identify you. You don't have to get your passport or any kind of identification that will identify yourself. Okay,
and are there any limits in terms of how long you have to stay in Spain, or with the non-lucrative visa? Is there a certain period of time you have to be here, or can you come back and forth as you please? Or
you need to stay 182 days per year. So you can go and come, you can travel as much as you want, but minimum period of time to stay in Spain is that. That is the main difference, a big difference with the golden visa, because golden visa, you don't have to stay any time. You can stay the whole year or you can stay just one day. So that's the main difference. Also, when you apply, golden visa can be applied as well in your original country, but it will give you, it will be only given for 1 year. When you apply in Spain, it will be for 2 years, and then you can renew. The non-lucrative, as you are applying in the consulate, it will be granted just for 1 year initially, and then you can renew. For the renewal, you can do it in Spain, but the first one, the first application has to be in the consulate with the consulate.
Okay, well look, for those of you watching this video, if you do have any more questions for Amaya, you can contact her either by email. Her details are on her website, which is primelegal.es, and at the end of this video I'll be putting up her email address and contact details. Okay, so we're going to come back a bit later with some other exciting topics to discuss, and I'll see you a bit later, Amaya, and we'll see you. Okay, so welcome back everyone, and we're going to continue with our web chat with Amaya of Prime Legal. Couple of interesting subjects she's going to tell us about now is the taxation and taxes involved in the property purchase process. Amaya, you've got some nice bits of information to tell us about this, although taxes isn't everyone's most favourite subject.
Yeah. Very happy about paying taxes, all of us. Well, in the purchase process, you will have to pay, depending on what type of property are you acquiring. You will pay different kind of taxes. So when you are buying a property off plan directly from the developer, you will be paying VAT at 10%. Then when you complete in the notary, you will have, not in the notary, but I mean for the title deed, you will pay the stamp duty, which is 1%, 1.5, depending on the region you're buying the property.
Yeah.
But when you buy a property, second-hand property, it is not subject to the VAT, but it's subject to the transfer tax. And this is a higher tax we need to pay. It will be, for example, in Andalusia, up to 400,000 euros, it will be the 8%. And in Valencia area, it's the 10%, is a fixed rate. So the taxes is slightly higher when you're buying from a developer, because you pay two taxes in two different moments, and then when you're buying a second home. After the purchase, you will need to pay taxes yearly. You will be subject for the income tax for non-residents. And you will be subject as well for local taxes, like is the council tax and the garbage, which is paid once per year.
Yeah. And of course, those taxes, those local authority taxes, what often delights people from the UK and other countries in Northern Europe, of course, is that they're relatively much lower than what you might be used to paying, for example, in the UK. They often, what you might pay in 1 month or 2 months in the UK is what 1 year here in Spain. So it's and the public services are actually a fairly good standard here as well. So that's great. And as you said, there's a couple of little taxes, like the rubbish collection comes on a separate tax and but a separate bill, should I say? But again, very, very minimal, really. I don't get particularly upset about when my annual local tax bill comes, I have to say. And then just to reiterate about what you were saying, that there are some regional variations in the rates of the purchase tax, the property transfer tax, sorry. For example, I think you said it's 8% in Andalusia, 10% in Valencia. I think in Murcia it might be 8%. I need to get up to date on that. They might have changed the rates, of course, this new year. So that's interesting. But these are all things that you would find out about. I mean, when you purchase a property, you decide you want to purchase a property. So, for example, you come along with myself, CBVA. I found you a lovely property to buy. You've decided this is what you want to do. Of course, the most important thing at that point, before you sign anything, make any commitment, is you need to meet with your lawyer, and they will advise you about all the different costs involved at that point. So before you make any financial commitment, you'll be aware of what's there. But this is a good guide to what you might expect to have to pay, and then of course your ongoing taxes. And is there anything else? I mean, for example, are there any other sort of annual taxes that are related to the fact that you own a property in Spain, or is that only when you're a resident?
You will be subject, it depends on the value of the property or the assets you have in Spain, not only properties, but also the kind of assets. You can be subject to the wealth tax, but that is for when you have quite high assets over, because there is also an exemption of 700,000 euros. So it depends on the situation. But it is supposed that this tax will be over, but it is extending year per year. Since many years, we are hearing about that they are going to be over, but it is still.
Okay. So finally, what we would like to ask you about, Amaya, is making a Spanish will. Okay. Why you need to make a Spanish will, and the process involved, and perhaps just a small indication of cost.
Well, the cost is not too much. It's just going to the notary and to do a will. You will have the legal fees as well, but it is not a very high amount to pay for doing a will. But it's highly interesting to do it, because from 2015 there was a modification of the law, and you can it gives you the right to choose which law you want to be applied on your assets. Right. So that makes a huge difference. We have in Spain a very different regime for the inheritance. For example, we have a legitimate that you don't have in the UK. So it will allow British people or other countries' people to choose which law wants to be applied on the inheritance.
Okay.
So it is highly recommended.
Right. Okay. And I'm right in saying you should have a Spanish will for your Spanish assets? Is that correct?
That's it. Yeah. For the Spanish assets, then for your country you will do the normal will you have there. But for the Spanish assets, so that you state clearly that for the Spanish assets you want your home country law to be applied, so you can decide who wants to who will go the property to,
who will inherit.
or the kind of.
So some great advice there, Amaya. Thank you very much. And for those of you viewing, of course, if you've got more questions about this or the other subjects we've covered, the contact details will be coming up at the end of this video, along with mine. You've seen some nice properties on the video earlier that are available in the Costa Blanca. If you have any questions or want more information about that, please don't hesitate to contact me. Until next time, Amaya, thank you very much. Thanks for being here again. And hopefully we're going to be speaking again in the next month or so with some other interesting subjects for our viewers. Thank you very much, Amaya.
You're welcome. Thank you, Steve.